a very important newly declassified document from 2017 shows something that we've all suspected for a long time. Let's put it up there on the screen, which is that Declassified memo confirms a direct tie between the Saudi government and the 9/11 hijackers. So let's explain. This all goes down to Omar al-Bayoumi. Now, al-Bayoumi was a member of the Saudi consulate who had confirmed meeting, connections, and financial ties with 2 of the 9/11 hijackers. So the previous story goes like this. Al-Bayoumi is in a cafe and he overhears 2 young Saudi men speaking in Arabic, and he's like, "How can I help you 2 gentlemen?" And then he gets them an apartment and puts down cash and does all of this stuff for them. It was said to be an on-the-chance encounter that had no direction from the direct Saudi government. If you believe that, I'm not sure what to tell you. But it was confirmed by the 9/11 Commission, and we thought that it was basically buried, despite many people like myself who said, this seems pretty sketchy. Well, a newly declassified 2017 FBI memo shows that the FBI itself wrote that al-Bayoumi was tasked with collecting and delivering intelligence specifically to Prince Bandar al-Sultan, who was at the time the Saudi ambassador to the United States. So, as long again suspected, al-Bayoumi was not some innocent driver who just happened across these 2 Saudi gentlemen who happened to be in America, who happened to crash planes into the Twin Towers. Well, he was actually reporting directly to the Saudi ambassador at the time, which then also gives us some insight into, well, what did the Saudis know, the Saudi government know, about 2 of its 15 of its 19 citizens who eventually crashed into our towers and into the Pentagon and Shanksville, Pennsylvania? What did they know at the time about the plot? That question has been buried by the US government for over 20 years because of Saudi corruption and pressure by the Saudi government, and we all just kind of moved on from it. But I don't think we should ever move on from it, because a lot of the people who are still responsible for that, Prince Turki bin Faisal, Bandar, and all those people are living high and mighty in Saudi Arabia, living the jet-setting high life, and very clearly, at the very least, knew what was going to happen, and possibly were even involved, or at the very least derelict about what happened.
And that piece of our own government's cover-up
the Bush
of
administration.
These critical facts is also really important here. Biden does deserve some credit for long after the fact declassifying these memos, which has never been done before. And just to make it like super clear, Bayoumi was literally getting paid by Saudi intelligence.
Yes, yeah, right.
So, I mean, it always was stretch credulity, the idea that he just stumbled upon them and then went out of his way to not only secure them an apartment, but really to sort of serve as a guide and help them get, settled here in America and help them move to San Diego. And there's another piece here which makes it even more plain, which is there was a second raft of documents released by the British government last week. This was in response to a civil lawsuit against the Saudi government by families of 9/11 victims. And among Bayoumi's papers, literally, was a diagram depicting a plane descending toward a target on the horizon, and alongside the diagram is a bunch of formulas used to calculate the distance to the target. Okay? Paid by Saudi intelligence.
I shouldn't laugh. It's so
happens to have a diagram of a plane descending toward a target on the horizon. Okay, riddle me that. Explain that one to me in an innocent way. Now, what they say is, he was working for the aviation industry, and so that's what it, okay.
All right.
Yeah,
and they even said in the second round of FBI documents, quote, there's a 50-50 chance he had advanced knowledge of the plot. And again, back in the 2000s, they covered all of this up, guys. It was not until 2005, 2006, when there was a lot more open source reporting about al-Bayoumi. Lawrence Wright from the New Yorker wrote the whole book about it, and there was a lot more of a scrutiny on this. But this was the height of Iraq mania, and then it just got lost in the Iraq War and the debates in the country. And every once in a while, around 9/11, everybody just kind of wakes up and is like, yeah, remember when the Saudis were involved, 15 of 19 citizens crashed into there, and they kind of tried to get bin Laden out of Afghanistan, but not really, even though they were pretty sure about what he was up to. And then they just spirited away a bunch of their citizens and ambassadors right after 9/11, and then they bought billions of dollars worth of advertising on American TV networks in order to prop up their image. And what was going on there? And they had all these connections to the Bush administration, but then they're like, well, there's inflation and Roe versus Wade and all this stuff. We shouldn't forget. Like 100 years from now, it's going to be 100% clear about what's happening. And I never thought I'd actually see these documents in my lifetime. I thought it'd be a lot like the JFK assassination.
Yeah,
but I guess
still waiting on those.
Still waiting on that one. But I'm glad to see it. I genuinely thought I'd be dead before any of this stuff even came out. But at least we know.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it'll be clearly the Biden administration not exactly having sort of a romance with the Saudis right now. Right. So that's also the context.
Actually, that's a good point.
That this comes down.
I didn't think about why that came out, but yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, indeed. And, I mean, the U.S. relationship towards Saudi isn't quite the same as what it was back in the Bush years. And to my mind, that's a good thing.
100%.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. More for you later. Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.